Good morning. Thank you for coming, everyone. We're learning this whole week. This is this week's, right? November? Yeah. We're learning this whole week in memory of Rosa Bat Itamar's mother, Aleh Shalom, the Anglonoffs in celebration of Leah and Elazar's birthday, and in memory of my mother-in-law's uncle, Beryl Ben Zev, Uncle Bert, who passed away recently. Okay. And B'Shem Kol Yisrael. So, with the men's, in the minyan, we began, I guess it was already a week and a half ago, learning Hilchos Chanukah. We started already a week and a half ago, because Shloshim Yom Kodem HaChag, you start 30 days before Hanukkah to start learning the laws of Hanukkah. So that's what we say about every single holiday. We start learning 30 days before to get ourselves in the right place. Which is the most difficult holiday to do this for? Why? I'm sorry? Oh, no, okay. I thought you meant just because it's so overwhelming. Sukkot is the hardest because how many days do you have between Yom Kippur and Sukkot? It's like 30 days before. Imagine if 30 days before Sukkot, our head was in Sukkot. Where are we 30 days before Sukkot? A week and a half before Rosh Hashanah. So there it gets a little bit tricky. But with Chanukah and Terutzim. What are you saying? No, listen, Cheshvan's just so filled with Yantivs. No, it's not. Kislev is so filled with Chagim. No, it's not. It's right there for us. So if that's true regarding learning the halachot, I feel very strongly to already start right now. I always feel when I get to Chanukah, maybe you have this also, right? By the menorahs, you have every sefer that, all these Sfarim also. If you have a little kid, how much time do you have to actually sit by the Neirot in peace, calm, and serenity while you're in the orchard of the Hasidic masters, right? Yet. And V'adayin lo shama. It's not so simple. But I just feel like, okay, so even though it's a few weeks before Hanukkah already, the light of Hanukkah, I say this every year, and I mean it every year, couldn't come early enough, you know? This light of what Hanukkah is all about, this light of the Ohr Haganuz, this light that we want so badly to take from. So therefore, we're a few weeks before. How long are we before Hanukkah right now? 2.5 weeks, much kazeh. So we really have an opportunity now to spend the next few while. B'ezrat Hashem, I think we're going to be doing this with all the shiurim now. Focus kimat everything on Hanukkah stuff now for the next tkufa. Because of the privilege that we have to take advantage of what Hanukkah, some of the aspects of Hanukkah, what Hanukkah is all about, and how much it's really the light of Mashiach and the light that we all long for and want so badly to incorporate in our everyday life. To get to Reb Tzadok today, though, the piece of Reb Tzadok, we have to do a few hakdamot, a few introductions, a few pieces before we go into the light of Reb Tzadok. And we're going to see a few things that I think we all know already. I don't think there'll be any tremendous chidushim, but this shir is I'm very biased to this shir because it's basically surrounding my favorite words that we say on Chanukah. As a Cohen, my favorite words you say on Chanukah is Al Yedei Kohanecha HaKadoshim. That the whole story happened through your holy Kohanim, right? Al Yedei Kohanera Salon, Al Yedei Kohanecha HaKadoshim. That everything really happened because the Kohanim were on, okay? But there's a don't worry, you're all included in this, even if you're not Benos or Eish or Neshos Kohanim. But let's look from the top and talk slowly. 36 sha'ot. This is the Gemara in Yerushalmi. 36 sha'ot shimsha ota ha'ora shenivret bayom harishon. For 36 hours, this light that was created on the first day of creation, shimsha, was there in the world. What does that mean? 12 בערב שבת, ו12 בליל שבת, ו12 בשבת. והיה אדם הראשון מביט בו מסוף העולם ועד סופו. So what does this mean, the 36 hours? There's 36 hours of light that man tasted with the creation of the world. What are the 36 hours we're referring to over here? We're referring to the 12 hours from Friday afternoon until, well, I guess, if it was winter or summer Shabbos, however you want to look at that first Friday. But the first 12 hours of Chatzos of Shabbos until, like, the day of Friday, 12 hours of Leil Shabbos, 12 hours of the rest of Shabbos. There were 36 hours of this pure light that we always speak about when it talks about Ohr Haganuz, that Adam HaRishon looked at it and he saw the whole world. He saw everything that would ever happen to anyone through this light. This is one of the explanations of understanding what the Ohr Haganuz, the concealed light that God created in the creation of the world and then concealed it. This is maybe one of the interpretations of how this is referred to. Now, why is this number 36 important? Huh?
36 candles.
We light 36 candles. We're trying to always see we're always trying to see in Chanukah how the light of the menorah is very much connected to this Ohr Haganuz, this concealed light that God saved, and He gives access to people in every single generation. Now, what does that mean that you have access to this light? What does the world look like when you have this light accessible to you? What does it look like? And that's what we're going to discuss tonight. When a person is accessing the Ohr Haganuz, the concealed light, things look different, the world looks different, and we look different. Hashem looks different. Not that Hashem actually looks different. It's in our perception, things look different. I'll give you an example. How many of you thought the second before you walked into this room that someone may have an opinion about you based on what you're wearing or the last time you came here? Meaning, we all do, you just don't realize it. Every person does. No, and unless you mamish came right now from Meiron and you closed your eyes in Hisbodedus for 3 hours driving here, and you've been in this zone of everything is one, Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. I'm just meeting pieces of Hashem right now, and I am nothing, Afar Ve'efer. So I could ask the question again, and every time I'll ask him, more hands will go up. What does it mean to look at the world and opportunity of being alive right now with Ohr Haganuz, with the concealed light? I don't know. But I know it's not the way we normally look at things and people, at ourselves, and at Hashem. So we're going to try to describe more and more what opportunity Chanukah gives us to be able to walk into rooms, to be able to interact with people, to be able to interact with ourselves and with Hashem in a different way. And hopefully B'ezrat Hashem, we'll have a few weeks to keep on getting closer and closer to what this opportunity really is all about. The Midrash Pinchas, the next one, that's Reb Pinchas Koretzer, says, Shebechol Chanukah b'sha'at hadlakat nerot, every year on Chanukah, at the moment that you're lighting the candles, nitgala Ohr Haganuz, this light with which God created the world and then concealed it, becomes revealed for a few moments when you're lighting the Chanukah candles. Vehu Or Shel Mashiach, and this is the light of Mashiach. So therefore, it's kedai to do all the hachana possible about what Hadlakat Nerot is all about, if the tzaddikim are telling us that when you're lighting the Chanukiah, you're lighting the menorah in your home, it's much more than just being yotzei, a mitzvah of commemorating a miracle. Much, 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 much more. There's a reason why Chazal told us, Ve'ein lanu reshut li'ishtamesh bahem ela lirotam bilvad. You can't use this light, you can't do anything with this light. It just has to be. Kedei leodot u'laleh shimcha gadol. To be thankful and to admit that the world is so much greater than I usually see things. But the Midrash Pinchas, where Pinchas Koretzer is saying, and this is, a lot of the tzaddikim say, when I'm lighting the Chanukiah at that moment, this Or that we described, that Adam HaRishon looked at the world with for 36 hours, and then was concealed, and God gives it to every generation, a little bit to those that He could trust that light with, that becomes absolutely accessible in every home during Hadlakat Nerot. Every time you light the Chanukiah. Even if the minhag is, it happens quite often, you light the menorah, and then right away, what you do? Go cook, or what? Dreidels, or sufganiyot.
For 30 minutes, you're supposed to stop from work.
So for 30 minutes, you're supposed to refrain from work, but that's only sur mirah, maybe. Asay tov is like, meaning it's true, you have to stop being busy, with other things that don't have to do with the Chanukah. But what are you being busy with? He's saying you're being busy with the light of Mashiach. So what does that even mean? That's what we're going to try to figure out. What does that even mean? To be busy with the light of Mashiach, to be busy with the light of Ohr Haganuz, to access the Ohr Haganuz. Remember, Alidei Kohanecha, this is a Cohen shir, right? But you'll see how we all fit into this category. So the Bnei Yisachar says like this, Al ken kar'u le'yamim ha'elu Chanukah. Why is this holiday called Chanukah? It's the lashon of chinuch. Shehu chinuch v'hergel al la'atid geula hatida. We're educating ourselves in preparation for what's about to happen. What's about to happen? Mashiach is going to come. So we're spending days chinuch, educating ourselves, getting ready for what it's going to be like to live in a reality where this Ohr Haganuz, the Ohr of Mashiach, is the only reality. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. You know, whenever you want to lechanech someone, what are you educating them for? You're educating them for the life they're going to live, hopefully, right? That's what chinuch is. I'm educating them, I'm giving them a little bit of a hadracha of how to make it in this world. So on Chanukah, we're getting a hadracha of how to make it in the real world that is about to come, ototo, Be'ezrat Hashem. So that's what the Bnei Yisachar says. She'az yitgale lanu ha'or haganuz b'shleimut. That this light, this concealed light with which God created the world and then concealed it, will be revealed to us in its entirety. K'mo she'amru b'masechet Chagiga daf Yud-Bet, v'ganzo l'tzadikim la'atid lavo. We know there was this light, it existed in the world, and God took it away, and He's waiting to bring it back. But we get glimpses of it, and sometimes these glimpses are a bit more potent, and Chanukah candles, that moment of being around the candles, is definitely a moment that this light is very much in the air. And it's a time of chinuch, we're mechaneching ourselves. You know, when I believe this so strongly, I once read a whole maamar that talked about chinuch, and it said that most Jewish girls that grow up in religious homes, the ones that really, it's something sticks with them very strong forever, is much more than anything they learned anywhere in school or anything. I can't tell this to my children because they still go to school, but more than anything they ever learned about Yiddishkeit happened to them when they watched their mothers light Shabbos candles. That stuck with them more than anything else they ever learned about Yiddishkeit. So I want to say, our children seeing us in awe of lighting the Chanukah, describing what we're doing, I believe that could be a moment of chinuch to our children to last strong until Mashiach comes and even after. To be interested in the fact that we have this whole thing called Mashiach and the Geula HaAtidah. It's a moment of chinuch that needs to be really taken advantage of. This moment of lighting the candles. Okay, now, where did this begin, the Masoret? That Chanukah candles resemble this light. I know what the Bnei Yisachar said, I know what the Pinchas of Kuritzer said, and I even understand what the Gemara and the Yerushalmi in Bracha says. But where did this begin, this Masoret that Am Yisrael understood, that lighting candles is one of the greatest things in the world? Where did this begin? Yeah. Yeah. Great question. There was always access in every generation by the tzaddikim. But mitzvahs ner Chanukah, the Gemara says, ish ubeito. The chiddush of Chanukah is that light that was generally only accessed by being around utmost tzaddikim, now what the holiday did is that it said, now it's in each one of your homes as well. That's the chiddush. So it was always there. It's always tzaddikim. There's always access to it in every generation. But here the Gemara comes and says, hey, that thing which was just, you got to go out and be completely secluded, meet that righteous person, have that privilege of all privileges. Now it's a different story. Ish ubeito.
Interesting that also non-religious Jews do it. It's like it's completely
everyone.
So
everyone.
Everybody, their neshama knows it, even though they might not understand it. But it's like in every reform,
like having a Seder.
Ish Beito. Don't they even light Hanukkah candles or menorahs at like bar and bat mitzvahs in America? Did you ever? You never saw that?
They do have a candle lighting ceremony.
A candle lighting ceremony
It's on Hanukkah.
right, but it's a candle lighting
yeah.
ceremony. Yeah, why? No, not during Hanukkah.
Yeah, they used to.
They used to, right? Not on Hanukkah. No. I'm saying a candle lighting ceremony.
Like just the idea of candles bringing light.
Where did this come from? Why did we do? I mean, I don't know if they. I think they still do this in right? What's that? No. Exactly, not in the frum world. What's that? I was at a few of them, and it was a menorah. They lit a menorah when I was in Los Angeles. 1,000,000%. It was whatever, yeah, but it wasn't necessarily 8. It could have been 12. 6, it didn't matter what it was. 12. Oh, for the Shvatim.
No, I remember I didn't ever do it, but I remember the tradition of seeing it at 12.
You like call up different relatives.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Yeah, it's kibbudim. Yeah. But I'm just connecting to what you're saying, that this minhag of like light, of candles, it's like, everyone. What's so funny is that if, it's true that the holiday of Hanukkah is definitely everyone all over the place. But if any of them knew what the story of Hanukkah was, I doubt, that they would celebrate it. Let's think about it for a second, right? Can you imagine? But you don't want to go to someone and say, listen, I want to explain to you why you probably don't want to light these candles, right? So you just light the candles, don't ask too many questions, akol v'seder, right? It's like, honestly, half the streets that are named in this country about, more modern names, do you know how many people would refuse to live on streets named on these after certain people? Ben Arz, whatever. Ramat Raziel. Do you know who Raziel was? I think it's David Raziel. Whatever. This is a tangent. We're keeping the light. We're letting them light keep it lit. That's the point. It's funny, when I was walking to my brother had a concert on Chol Hamoed in the Ramada, and I was walking behind this whole group of like real yeshivish, like young guys on fire, and they started singing one of his songs, and then another group of chevra over there heard what they were singing. They started singing, and then one of the guys says, "Wow, Beryl, this place is lit." Right? And I was thinking, wow, that's actually what Hanukkah is with the candle. When this place is lit, so you just keep the light on. You don't turn the light off. But where in our Masoret did this start to come down as an Indian, that we realized that the appreciation for Neirot is so precious? And actually, I did a chuppah last week I told you about this chevra, this chassan and kala, that the chassan was the neighbor of the boy from Har Nof. Did I tell you about this last week? The next door neighbor. So they also had, when you go up to the chuppah, you always have like a little table where there's like the wine and the cups, and if there's rings. Here there was that table, the ksuba, but then there was another smaller table right before you got to the bigger table, and it was packed with candles that they lit. And they lit in memory, and they had me mention probably 5 or 6 ancestors, and also the Rebbe, Rabbi Nachman, Reb Tzadok, Rav Kook, Reb Shlomo, the Piasetzner. They had me mention all these tzaddikim and tell everyone there's a candle in honor of each person that we're mentioning right now. And they said, can you speak a little bit about the power of candles, of light, why we light candles under the chuppah? I didn't, I forgot to, but I'm thinking now, back to it, it's like, wow, some people are very sensitive to this, of always having a candle lit, and what that brings out. There's shuls where the candle's lit all the time, not just the Ner Tamid, that's not really a candle, right? But I'm saying there's shuls where the candles are lit all day long. Where did this come from? Nachon, that's the concept of Ner Tamid. I'm saying besides the Ner Tamid that you have in shul, people light in memory of people. All the time. By Sfardim, this is, by the Sfardish Shechev, On your side, you light also? Nachon. Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam, ner mitzvah, Torah, or there are all these concepts. I want to focus though back to the Cohen. I want to focus again back to this line. This is a very famous Ramban in Parshat Ba'alotcha. There's a very interesting story in Parshat Ba'alotcha that Aaron HaKohen gets a little bit downhearted. Why does he get a little bit sad? Why does Aaron HaKohen get a little bit sad? Does anyone remember? Whoever speaks just a little, this room is a little bit tricky. I can't hear someone that's sitting over here. So just if you say something, if you could do it louder. Who was saying something?
He didn't bring the korbanot like the other.
Like the Nisim, right? So what's his consolation?
He's gonna light.
That he's going to light, and that's going to be forever. Let's look inside. Amor le'Aaron, al tila lagdula mizot ata muchan. You are destined for tremendous greatness. HaKorbanot, kol zman shebeit HaMikdash kayam enoagim. As long as the Beis HaMikdash is around, the Korbanot will be there. But there's no Beis HaMikdash, there's no Korbanot. Aval hanerot le'olam el pnei menorah. But the light is something else. The candles are something else. They are there forever. Meaning no one tells us today, listen, there's no Beis HaMikdash, don't light any candles. But they do say, there's no Beis HaMikdash, don't bring Korbanot. והנה דבר ידוע, שכשאין בית מקדש קיים והקורבנות בטלים מפני חורבנו, אף הנרות בטלות. So, wait a second. Hold on a second. The candle that Aaron HaKohen was to light, that's not batel with the Churban Beis HaMikdash? If there's no Beis HaMikdash, there's no light in Beis HaMikdash to light. Nachon? So what are we saying when we're saying that the light of Aaron, even though the Churban Beis HaMikdash, the Korbanot stop, what do we mean that his light continues? The light ended with the Churban of the Beit HaMikdash, the lighting, the act of lighting. You understand? The shaila is like this. We keep on saying Aaron was consoled because he was told, listen, the Korbanot that you're not bringing right now, that's going to have an end because there's going to be a Churban Beis HaMikdash. But your light will always be lit. But what light are we talking about there? The light that you light in the Beis HaMikdash, the menorah in the Beis HaMikdash. Unless I'm misinformed, we haven't lit the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash from the same time that we haven't brought a korban to the Beis HaMikdash. So what kind of consolation is that to Aaron HaKohen? It's not true. That light is also gamarno. So the Ramban says like this. אבל לא רמזו אלא לנרות של חנוכת חשמונאי, שהיא נוהגת אף אחר חורבן בגלותנו. What was Moshe Rabbeinu telling Aaron HaKohen? He was telling him, your inyan is going to be something that lasts everything. Zot omeret, yeah, there's going to be a Churban Beis HaMikdash. And there's not going to be any Korbanot anymore. And what else is not going to be? For a while, the menorah of the Beis HaMikdash. But your zera, your offspring, are going to bring something into the world that's going to keep light lasting forever, no matter what the deepest, darkest galus is. You know these stories of the tzaddikim, or Pashta Yidin in the Holocaust, that what they did in order to light menorah. How many tales like this do we have? Where does it come from? Doesn't matter what's happening in the world, doesn't matter what's happened. It doesn't matter what will ever happen. The light of Aaron HaKohen is still in the world in the schut of, I hate to say this, not the schut of shuls, not the ner tamid in the shul, not the candles you light in the shul. In the schut that every year we have the light that the Chashmonai, the Kohanim, brought into the world, the children of Aaron HaKohen, the grandchildren, the offspring of Aaron HaKohen, af achar churban begalutenu. The Ramban is saying a tremendous chiddush here, that's what he was already told by Chanukah's Mishkan, that Hanukkah is going to be in the world forever, and it's going to be in your schus, and that's what consoled Aaron HaKohen. So the consolation of Aaron HaKohen is that Hanukkah will always be in the world, and it seems that once Aaron HaKohen knew Hanukkah would always be in the world, he was calm, he was okay. He knew everything else would be okay. Let's understand now, finally, Rabbi Tzadok Cohen, we'll see how much we could do. Bottom piece, this is from the first ot of pre-Tzadik in Chanukah. עיקר הנס היה בחנוכה, מה שניצחו החשמונאים במתי מספר את היוונים, שהיו מולכים בכל העולם והיו עם רב. So, this is a famous question. What is the miracle of Hanukkah? What is the celebration of Hanukkah about? Is it the war that we won? Or is it Nes Pach Hashemen? Or is it the miracle of the oil? What do you guys feel? What is the Ikar Nes? The war, huh? Nes Pach Hashem. You have machlokas here, but Shoshana, you're whispering. Yeah? Bidiyuk. That's why that's where a lot of the Achronim say, listen, look at Al Nisim, look at how we talk, look at what we talk about. Listen, בימי מתתיהו בן יוחנן, כהן גדול, חשמונאי ומניו, כשעמדה מלכות יוון הרשעה על עמך ישראל להשכיחם תורתך. There's all these decrees. רפת את ריבם, דנת את דינם, נקנת את נקמתם. And then it talks about even more, the war. מסרת גיבורים ביד חלשים, רבים ביד מעטים, טמאים ביד טהורים, רשעים ביד צדיקים. It seems that we're speaking about the war. Now, haneirot halalu anu madlikim ala nisim. So there it goes into, wait a second, Aidei Kohanecha HaKadoshim. What was Aidei Kohanecha HaKadoshim? The war or the miracle of the... Oh, you're saying about Al Nisim. Nachon, but the beginning is all about the war. Nachon. And that's what he starts over here. That's why he says, Ikar Anes, listen, there's no two ways about it. I think about this also. What was the Ikar of the Nes of 1948? Was it that we won this crazy war or that Jews started coming home?
I think everybody connects in different ways, so you almost need two different types of miracles.
That's why people talk about Hanukkah being basically what's the right word? The duguma of like, Hanukkah is the light of Torah Sheba'al Peh, of like this world of doing miracles already in our times. In 1948 resembles both the Chashmonaim going out to war, and then the Binyan Haaretz coming back home as the Nes Pach Hashemen. But he starts off here by saying like this: Ikar Nes Haya b'Chanukah, ma shenitzchu HaChashmonaim. The Ikar was the war, that the Yevanim, the Greeks, were ruling most of the world. They were such a big nation, and we came and did this thing, just like Mamash in 1948. It's like the same, it's the same symmetry in this regard. Aval hanes shaya b'shemen haya rak mitzad Hashem yitbarach. Meaning the miracle of winning the war, that was Hashem giving us strength and us doing something, right? But the miracle that had to do with the Nes Pach Hashemen, what did we do in order to have the Nes Pach Hashemen? That was mitzad Hashem yitbarach. It was God saying, hey, I want to be part of the festivities too. I'm going to give you something that's just me. I'm going to do something crazy right now. Right? The war, we could have a taina. It was you and me. You gave me koach. I fought. I did it with you. But the Nes Pach Hashemen is different. He's saying...
But you could say that the same way that you just said that, and Al said that the 1948 was Gam V'Gam. So you could say the war was one side, but the fact that they even looked for a Pach Hashem and that they wanted to light the menorah, like they didn't go out and celebrate.
You could say, I'm just saying what he's saying over here. I'm just translating Rav Tzadok over here. I agree with you. He's saying like this. Aval hanes she'aya b'shemen haya rak mitzad Hashem yitbarach. That's Rav Tzadok's word. I'm just giving over Rav Tzadok right now. Haya chaviva lefanav. Why? K'shaya chaviva lefanav adlaka zo. God's saying, listen, lighting in times of great victory is like, this is my chavivut. Like, I love this. I like this. So Reb Tzadok is differentiating. He's saying the mitzvah, so far he's saying, the miracle of the war is ki'ilu gam v'gam, but the whole inyan of bringing down the miracle itself of the oil is mamash, mitzad Hashem yitbarach. That's how he's starting off. שישראל מצידם כיוון שטימאו כל השמנים ולא היה להם שמן, היו פטורים ממצוות הדלקה המנורה, the ones rachmana patre, v'kol sheken shelo hayu mechuyavim limsor nafsham ba'ad mitzvah zo. You know that they were able to light with impure oil. You know that, right? The halacha is that there's only impure oil, you're allowed to still light. This was the hidur mitzvah. We're not talking about the miracle of lasting for 8 days. We're just talking about the fact that there was pure oil was a miracle in itself. So he's saying over here, it's amazing. All the shmanim were impure, and they were patur from the mitzvah of lighting the menorah because ones rachmana patre. That means when you're coerced into a situation and you can't do anything about the situation, you're patur from trying to figure out how to fulfill it.
Doesn't that contradict what you just said? You said that you can also light with impure oil.
Yeah,
So then why couldn't they light?
they could.
But they didn't. It said that they were putter.
No, patur means you're exempt. It doesn't mean that you didn't. It means you're not chayav. That's the whole chap here. Unless I misunderstood what you said. Patur means you're exempt from something. You don't have to. Nachon. And yet,
That you can, even if you don't have, oh, you can, you don't have to. If it's
you
not.
can, but you mean, exactly. You can, you're patur. But it doesn't mean that you can't. You can. You can light with impure oil if there's nothing else left. That's what he's trying to say. Is it not? I'm sorry if it was unclear. Okay. And all the more so, what's definitely not the situation is that there's no inyan of being moser nefesh for this. That's what he ended off here. V'kol sheken lo hayu mechoyavim limsor nafsham ba'ad mitzvah zo. They didn't have to have mesirus nefesh to find a pure jug of oil. That you didn't have to have either. It's just that what? Rak sheher Hashem yitbarach az shechavivat hadlaka hamenorah lefanav. Hashem yitbarach showed us, he's saying, I want you to know what really gets to me. Something about these candles, something about lighting a menorah, something about lighting, like causing light to be, is so beloved to me. Himtzi lifnehem benes shemen ladlakat hanerot. And he basically made it appear for them with this miracle of shemen and the hadlaka of the nerot, but Reb Tzadok is really attributing this all to Hashem, saying Hashem brought this out to the world. The nes of the shemen is Hashem saying, look at this. I love this. This touches my heart more than anything. And maybe that's what aroused within us the ratzon to not be okay with lighting impure oil, but going for the, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense why they would be most of their nefesh to do this. Meaning they got a taste of what really, really touches the Ribono Shel Olam. And when you get a taste of what really touches the Ribono Shel Olam, even if you're not chayav, you go the extra. Whatever the extra is, you go for it and you do it. So I want to say something. Up until now, it could be, I think hopefully this makes a little bit of sense. How do you know when you tasted the Ohr Haganuz? How do you know when you accessed the Ohr Haganuz that we started speaking about in the beginning? When you're not chayav to do something, but you get a taste of how much it means to Hashem, and you're willing to do anything for it, even if it doesn't make any sense, and even if you're not chayav. And maybe this is the beginning of accessing the whole story of the connection of Ohr Haganuz and Chanukah. וזה עניין, מה שנאמר במדרש רבה, שאמר לו לאהרון, לגדולה מזו אתה מתוקן. When it was told to Aaron Cohen, listen, your inyan is these candles, this light, being in touch with what really means the most to Hashem, this is your chelik. This is your chelik, Aaron Cohen. בעלותך את הנרות, when you lift up the candles. הקורבנות כל זמן שבית המקדש קיים, הם נוהגים. אבל הנרות לעולם. Again, the korbanot, once there's no Beis HaMikdash, there's no korbanot. The light of Aaron HaKohen, the light of wanting to do extra, the light of wanting to add something that you're not mechuyav to add, that light of adding, of going extra, this is Aaron HaKohen's light, and it will be there forever. Again, the Ohr Haganuz, the concealed light that what's the Ohr that's not Ganuz? What's the light of the Torah that's not Ganuz? The light that tells me you do this and you don't do this. This is right This is wrong. This is kosher. This is treif. That's also light. But it's not the Ohr Haganuz. The Ohr Haganuz, the concealed light, is the things I'm not chayav to do, but I can't imagine not doing it. Is there any halacha that says that a husband has to bring flowers to his wife on Erev Shabbos? You're probably going to tell me yes, but there isn't, right? There's a general mitzvah of a simach es ishto, but there's all these drushes on this. All the things that are the extra, all the add-ons, that's Ohr Haganuz. This is the light of the Cohen. This is the light of Aaron Cohen. This is the light that's always there, that's alive forever. So, third to bottom paragraph. Rak inyan hadlakat hanerot. So what is the ikar? What is the concept of lighting the nerot? Ha'ikar shezacha shelo nitan hakoach lehair or Torah shebe'al peh. What did Aaron Cohen merit? He merited the concept of Torah shebe'al peh. What's Torah shebe'al peh? What does that mean? What does the oral Torah mean over here in this context? What do you think what is the light of the Torah shebe'al peh? It's not a trick question. I'm asking like a very pashut question. What does it mean? What's Torah shebe'al peh? What's the oral Torah? What does that even mean?
I think it's our understanding of things. Like when you go out and you do beyond, you take the chumrah upon yourself, so that like not for you, but like because you feel like you want to do more.
Okay.
Even though we just said you shouldn't be adding.
Right. Okay. No. So I said taking on more. What else is in?
Living and evolving, and that it's matching to every situation and every generation.
Right. Nachon. What else? What's the holiday of Hanukkah? The holiday of Hanukkah is Or Torah shebe'al peh. We could have gone through Hanukkah, and we could have come to a very kosher and even holy conclusion. The Torah says, right, I'll commemorate it. But more than that, listen, Baal Tosif, the Torah tells me, don't add, right? And in the name of holiness, I'd be like, this was really special. But, Ad Kan, right? No, the light that emanated from the whole energy of what Hanukkah brought to the world, both the physical war, the miracle through the physical Yeshua, and the spiritual Yeshua, made me trust myself that I have something to add to this world that didn't exist until now. So trusting ourselves, I want to say, is the light of Torah shebe'al peh. Trusting ourselves that when we experience godliness in the world, Hashem trusts us, and we have to trust ourselves that we can make, now don't misquote me, now I'm saying now everyone should make new yantivs, but that we can bring chidushim to the world. Within the parameters of 100%. Well, back then it was all, it's a whole story. Back then, it seems that Beit Hashmonai were reigning over everything, and also there was total mayhem. Like no one knew what was going on. They took the Malchus to themselves, which is one of the reasons why they got punished afterwards, because it was taken from Beis David and put into Beis Levi through Aaron. It's a whole story. Maybe we'll get to that next week. No one knew what to do, but there was a unity that came within the Am that we can do this. We could set something new that didn't exist because we have to trust ourselves based on what we just experienced. We see today the biggest rift within the frum world is that there's not this trusting amongst ourselves that whatever is established should be, without getting into the whole, Zionist question. But we need the light of the menorah more than ever to shine into Am Yisrael as a klal. You could do this. You're Torah shebe'al peh. You can do this. You can add, and you can trust yourself.
Is that the difference between Torah, Doraita and Torah Rabbanon? Because it identifies in the Gemara, the thing, you can't add a fifth species, you can't add another paragraph for Shema, you can't add in those ways. So is that the difference?
I think it is, meaning when Zahava said before, Baal Tosif, that's what the Torah says. So what does that say in the light of anyone that's connected to Torah shebe'al peh? Well, the Baal Shem Tov had a beautiful way of making shalom with all this. Because it's a good question. How could you add? It's a great question. Even within the parameters of halacha. Of course, against halacha, we're not even talking about that. I'm saying within a world of halacha, how could you add? So the Baal Shem Tov said like this, the Pasuk says in Tehillim, Torah Hashem Temima. That means that the Torah that came from Hashem, which is, obviously we're referring right now to Matan Torah, Har Sinai, was tam from the lashon of complete. Everything that anyone will ever mechadesh was given to Moshe Rabbeinu with those 40 nights. Because during the day he was learning Torah Shebichsav, the Zohar says, and at night he was learning Torah Sheba'al Peh. He was learning any chiddush that anyone will ever be given. So when I have a chiddush of something, and I think I added, it's a wink to make me feel good about myself, but really, that was also already given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai, says the Baal Shem Tov. So it's not really, I don't really mosif, but Hashem created a space for me to feel like I'm mosif in the world. Because if I really mosif something that never existed, I probably can't say the word Torah about it. I'll just say chidush ba'al peh. But the fact that I'm saying Torah ba'al peh means this is Hashem's humility, like He makes me feel, you ever have when your child tells you what they think is a chiddush? It happens to me all the time with students. They, not here everything's a chiddush, but other places, people will tell me stuff, and it happened recently in a really profound. It was like Hashem testing me. Someone was like really trying to show that they're holding in a certain subject, and they said, and you know what? There's a whole Torah from Rav Kook that even Rav Kook says that to come to Eretz Yisrael, there shouldn't be any cheshbons because of Sichon Melech Cheshbon. You ever hear that one? He says to me. Now, I know already how this person heard that vort, right? That person heard that vort, it's a long story, through a bunch of students that he knew that we're learning here about the famous story that we say every year that Rav Kook told these people about Sichon Melech Cheshbon. So at that moment, it was such a test that I wanted to say to the person, do I know that story? And I said to him, oh my God, what a fort, that, And I felt the wink also from him, like, yes, that was great. But it's like this, with Torah Sheba'al Peh, you don't think the miracle of Chanukah was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Har Sinai? He saw everything. He lived in the Ohr Haganuz. You don't think Adam HaRishon saw the miracle of Chanukah, those 36 hours? Of course he did. It's light where you see the whole world. Mitchilat ha'olam ve'ad sofo. You see everything. But the humility of Hashem is to create this space of saying, you have something to add. You have something to add within the confines of this world. You have something to add. Add it. Add it. And the Baal Shem Tov says, the shalom is that you're not really soter anything. You're not contradicting anything. Add it. Add this light. It's been waiting for you to bring back from resurrect, up into the world. And this is the light of Aaron Cohen. This is what the Cohen, this is what the light of Beit Chashmonai brought into the world. What does it mean that the light of Beit Chashmonai, they brought light into the world? It doesn't mean that they brought something new. It's that they gave space for people to come and shine their own light into the world in a manner that's accepted and became part of the Masoret. So, the bottom paragraph again, רק עניין הדלקת הנרות, העיקר שזכה שלא ניתן הכוח להאיר אור התורה שבעל פה. זה הכוח ניתן לאהרון, להופיע ולהאיר בלב כל ישראל אור תורה שבעל פה, על ידי הדלקת נרות המקדש. Through the lighting of the candles in the Beis HaMikdash, that first Chanukah, right? It gives a chance for any Yid until Mashiach comes to light the menorah in their home and feel that this is mamish connected to what makes the most difference in the world, connected to the concealed light. וזה שנאמר, ויעש כן אהרון אל מול פני המראה. פירוש רש"י, מספרי, from the Midrash, להגיד שבחו של אהרון שלא שינה. This is a very interesting Midrash we have on Aaron Cohen. It says, why does the Torah tell us, Vayas Kain Aaron, that Aaron did what he was told? To teach us that he didn't deviate. He didn't start doing something else, but he did what he was told. And everyone asks, what's such a big chap that Aaron Cohen didn't deviate? We should say, Shkoyach, thank you for not listening. It doesn't make sense. What's the big chap over here? And every year we have different answers to this shayla. ולא מצינו שיכתוב כן הכתוב על שום קורבן ומצווה. When someone does something good in the Torah, we don't see ever that Rashi says, להגיד שבחו שלא שינה. You ever realize that? The only time Rashi tells us shekoyach for not deviating is by Aaron Cohen and the light in the Beis HaMikdash. Rav Tzadok says you don't see any other mitzvah someone does or a korban someone brings. Whatever. Korbano karat kesef achat. And Rashi says, you know what we're telling us? That why is the Torah telling us they're bringing this korban? To show us that they actually brought the korban they were told to bring. We don't see this about any korban. We don't see this about any mitzvah. We only see this lashon of yeshar koach shelo shina, to tell a shbach that you didn't deviate, only when it comes to Aaron HaKohen and lighting in the Beis HaMikdash. Why? Why only here? Do you understand the question? Why only here? Rak dekai, this is speaking about al inyan omek mechuvan hanerus, shehu lehair or Torah shebe'al peh belibot Yisrael. This is so deep. I know Reb Tzadok's hard. I know this shir is harder than most shirim, but I'm telling you, sometimes like moments like this, it's mamish worth it. What is Reb Tzadok saying? What's the hardest thing in the world to do? To trust yourself. It's the hardest thing in the world to trust that you have Or Torah Sheba'al Peh to bring into the world. Why is the only place that Rashi gives a yesher koyach to someone for doing what they were told to do by Aaron HaKohen lighting? Because the whole inyan of Aaron HaKohen lighting is about the light that you have to bring into the world and trusting yourself. It's so easy to not move forward in the name of all these bilbulim and terutzim you have in your head. But to be able to follow through with the light of your Torah Sheba'al Peh to bring it to the world, yeshar koach shelo shinita. Yeshar koach for not letting a suffix come into your head, telling you it's probably not so good. You see, every time a person has a good thought and they write it down or they share it with someone, it's Aaron HaKohen lighting the menorah. But there's so many voices, I can't begin to tell you, on a daily basis, that tell you, just do what the Torah says and don't do what the Torah doesn't say. So that's not the Yeshar Koach Shelo Shinita. You're not going to get any shkoyachs there. You're just doing the right thing. You get a shkoyach, you get a lahagid shvacho shel Aaron praising you that you trusted your light and you had something to share and you did it in the world. And you had a thought, you filmed yourself and you shared it. You had a good thought, you wrote it down and you actually shared it. You had something to add and you went for it, that's the yeshar koach you get. And this is the lo nitparesh betzivui. This whole Torah we're talking about right now, you can't be commanded to do this. Rak beremez. It's only in a hint. So you can't be commanded. Hashem can't tell you, trust your Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's all hidden. It's all because it's got to be your chiddush. And this is what Aaron HaKohen gives us the koyach to do, to believe. Al yedei kohanecha hakadoshim. To believe not only I could go out and win a war, wage a war against tons of nations, but I could also be shayach to the Torah Sheba'al Peh and bring something to the world that kivyachol, so to speak, never existed before. Someone once said about the Baal Shem Tov, they said, you know what the greatest midah of the Baal Shem Tov was? He said, what? He said, he was a brave man. I never thought of it like that. He was brave. We have all these Torahs. He was holy. He was Kodesh Kodashim. He must have been humble. He was brave. He was brave. The Kohanim were brave, not just on the battlefield, but in the Torah, or in the Torah Sheba'al Peh field. They were brave. V'zeh nishar le'olmei ad. This is the light that lasts forever. That is what Aaron HaKohen was told, and this is what Reb Tzadok is saying. Zeh nishar le'olmei ad. She'ikar Torah Sheba'al Peh nitan le'kohanim. For the future generations, to add to the Torah, or to bring up something that, you're not sure about, or to make some chiddush into the world, you come to the Kohanim. Ubata ela Kohanim alaviim, and then it says, Al pi Torah asher yorucha. Whatever they say, you go with. V'chen ze ikar inyan nerot Chanukah. It's amazing. Reb Tzadok is a Cohen, right? Rav Kook was a Cohen. There's something in it to be connected to. And the Baal Shem Tov wasn't a Cohen as far as we know, but there's this midah of kehuna, which is being brave. And being brave means trusting your chiddush. And it's very hard. But that light, when you tune into it, that light lasts forever. והיינו שנרות חנוכה הם גם כן להאיר אור תורה שבעל פה. The light of Hanukkah comes to give light, to shine the light of the oral Torah. ועיקר נס חנוכה ומצוותה בא על ידי כהניך הקדושים שהם המאירים אור זה בלב ישראל. They shine this light into the hearts of every Yid. What light are we referring to? When we say Ohr Torah Sheba'al Peh, so we want to say Ohr Haganuz. The 36 hours where it was shining in the world, the first Friday and Shabbos of the world, connected the 36 lights, the candles that we light on Hanukkah. There are many, many, many more meshalim. There are many more connections showing the Ohr Haganuz, the Ohr Hanukkah, bechulei. But for today, what we wanted to see, we're not going to get to the Chatam Sofer, but what I wanted to see was really, wanted to show myself really, as we're learning this, is to believing in our own chiddush is not a nice thing. It's a must. Just like Hanukkah is not a nice thing. You have to. Now we could chop this all. We could just bring a whole shleimus to this in the greatest way. You know what the koyach of the Rabbanan is, of Torah Sheba'al Peh is? You know what bracha you say on the lighting of the candles? What bracha? What's the words? Asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu, that God sanctified us through His mitzvahs and commanded us to light the light of Hanukkah. Really? Show me where that's written. Show me where that's written. Where is it written that God commanded us? I could say, Asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. I'll show you where that's written. I'll show you where all the other, many other Asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu. Where does it say? Where did God command us? Where did God command us to light the Hanukkah candles? Where? This. This is the kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu. This is the headquarters of it. Hanukkah is the headquarters of Torah Sheba'al Peh. This is where it is. We have the same thing by Purim. Asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Really? Where? This is the light of Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's the light of Eretz Yisrael. It's the light of anything that you have to be brave enough to believe in. You bring down the kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu. That's what Hanukkah does. So we should be zocheh be'ezer Hashem to become brave people that learn and learn and learn and have more and more bittul, making more and more space for Hashem's wisdom, so that when I do shine what I think is a chiddush in the world, I can get this stamp of Asher kiddeshanu mitzvosav v'tzivanu. And this is the light of Aaron Cohen, and this light lasts forever. When you do that, that's a light that lasts forever in this world. So B'ezrat Hashem will continue next week with more Hanukkah.